I'm going to do a short video here showing my process for changing out the idler tires on the 122 Mark II, and this also applies to the 112 and probably several other decks too that are all similar in their configuration. And it's a simple matter of removing the top, taking these two flathead screws out, unclipping a few wire ties. I've already taken 2 or 3 out, and there's a couple more in the back there that I should have taken out also, would have made it a little easier. The 2 little black ones, but they'll all be put back. So whatever it takes to make that simple to get out. Not necessary to do any more than just remove the top and those 2 screws. Now there's our tires and the pivot assembly. Everything looks good here. Nothing's cracked, nothing's broken. I just put a little parts tray on top. There is more room to work if a couple more of those ties are removed. Now I want to get that E-clip off of there. And before you pull that off, pay attention to that spring right there that flew off. Don't do like I did. Now I want to take those 2 wheels off. It's a tiny, tiny screwdriver and that little spring retainer. And there's the 2 wheels and a spring in between, and then that felt washer right there. And that washer's glued in place, or felt pad is glued in place. And most times those tires will be cracked and they just come off or fall apart or whatever. But they just peel off just like that. Just that simple. And then I want to clean all this up before I put it back together. I've got a little bit of isopropyl alcohol on a toothpick, and I'm just running it through the hub there, and then I just blow it out with compressed air. But whatever method works. These were clean, like everything else on this deck. These had no grime in them at all. I want to clean the back of that, which is where it mates up against that felt pad, and there's supposed to be a little friction on there, and so I just want to make sure there's no oil or anything like that. Clean the groove out and the spindle, and I'm just using IPA and Kim wipe. And I'll get that shaft there as well. This is just a fiberglass bristle brush. Toothbrush will work on those on that knurled drive gear. This one's clean. A lot of times they can be all packed with all kinds of stuff in there. All right, let's put our new tires on. These are typically going to go on there with the pointy side out, and you want the flat side out. So you just manipulate it around. I just want to put a little tiny drop of non-petroleum lubricant. I use Krytox on here, but anything that's not petroleum, well, not anything. I use synthetic grease that's intended for use on nylon parts and plastic parts. I don't want to use any sort of automotive grease or anything like that. It's better, if you don't have that available, it's better just to leave it dry. Shouldn't be any oil or anything like that in there, but and what I want to do now is test these concentric grooves against that felt pad and see if there's any resistance, and there should be some, and I'm really not feeling very much. Those are replaceable, but most of the time they just need to be roughed up a little bit. So I'll just take a nylon, or not nylon, a brass brush, and I'll clean it with some IPA, blow it out, and I'll just rough up that felt a little bit and see if I can get some resistance, if I can feel some resistance. And if not, I'll replace it. But most times this works just fine. And that feels good. Now I've got what I think I should have there. And then the little spring, and then the other wheel on top of it, and it's just a tongue and groove arrangement, so I just make sure that those two are lined up so that they drive each other. I put just another drop of that synthetic lubricant underneath the split retainer. And that's ready to go. I want to get a little bit of oil on this motor bushing, the front motor bushing. And so I'm just setting it up vertically. I'll get a little drop of oil on it and let it sit overnight. And this is going to be a machine oil, a non-detergent oil, so not a motor oil, nothing like that. More like a sewing oil, 10 to 15 weight, household oil, 3-in-1 oil, anything like that, but never a detergent motor oil. And I'll just set that there overnight and let it soak into that bronze bushing, that centered bronze bushing, and come back at it tomorrow. So now that has sat overnight, I've retrieved my spring. Motor feels good. There's no excess play in there. And I just want to get a little bit on that shaft there. And this is what I use for these the plastic parts, but it works fine on these metal parts also. All right, so let's get this back together. Operates well, free. Get our little E-clip back on. Smooth side down. I'll put a little bit of lube on the hub. Minute amount here. There it is, and I want to do the shiny side, the polished side, down against the hub, or the smooth side. Okay, I like all that. Get our spring in. And that's exactly how it should operate. So that's it. Now we just put it back together. Now I want to point out, I can't show it on camera, but that notch there should fit inside that groove as you're looking at it from the left side. I can't show it on film, and even when you're doing it, it's kind of hard to see. It's just kind of feeling your way through there, but it's not hard. Just work it in there, and when it's there, you can kind of feel it. Make sure it's the flathead screws, because those center that bracket. Let's just tidy up our wires here and make sure that the nothing's touching, rubbing anything, any moving parts. And that's basically it. It's a fast job. Just kind of work those around there. Want to make sure that those wires are kind of down below the surface or off to the side, because so they don't rub on the case or get pinched in there. And I sell these tires on eBay, and I'll have a link down in the the thing. And in the end, when I get done tying these wires up, I want them to look something like this on the 112 or the 122 Mark II. And this applies also to the 112 and other decks too. I'm not 100% sure of, but the procedure is the same. Wiring's a little bit different. It'll look like this on the 112. But the procedure is identical. So if you watch this, I appreciate it. Thank you. Please comment if you have one, and maybe check out some of my other How I Do It videos. Thanks for watching.